Hello esteemed viewers, welcome to our tutorial for today. In today's tutorial, we'll be looking at geometry and we'll be considering angles. Last time we discussed about lines, and today we'll go straight to angles. What are angles? Angles is a measure of rotation or turning. Now when two lines cut one another or cut each other, they form what we call an angle. We have seen these instances in alternate angles, in corresponding angles, in vertically opposite angles. Once two lines cross one another, they form what? They form angles. In today's video, we are also going to consider the various types of angles, and we're going to look at various questions, 3 questions, in order to consolidate your learning on angles, so that wherever you see angles on geometry, you will no longer be dreadful of solving questions on angles. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to this channel so that you can get our subsequent video content once they are uploaded. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so as to be notified when they are thus uploaded. Now we're going to consider the various types of angle. The first angle we're going to tell you about is the right angle. Now, right angles are angles that forms an angle that are 90 degrees. When we talk about right angles, we talk about angles that are what? That are 90 degrees. Angles that are 90 degrees are called right angles. The second angles we are going to look at, and they are formed when two lines form a perpendicular line between each of them. So perpendicular lines forms what we call a right angle. Now let's consider the angle we want to talk about is an acute angle. Wow, what is an acute angle? An acute angle are angles that are less than 90 degrees. So in this value, acute angle falls between what? Between this range. Any angle that is less than 90 degrees is called an acute angle. Such angles can be angles like 30 degrees, 60 degree, 70 degree, 10 degree, 20 degree. We can also have 50 degree. All these are what? Angles that are less than what? That are less than 90. They are called acute angles. They are less than 90 degree. Now another angles you need to get to know more about is the obtuse angle. The obtuse angles are angles that are more than 90 degrees. They are usually more than 90 degrees, but then they are also less than 180. That's the next angle we talk about. We talk about the obtuse angle. The obtuse angles, they are angles that are greater than 90 degrees, but then they are less than what? 180 degrees. Remember, acute angles are angles that are less than 90 degrees. All these are angles that are less than 90 degrees. But obtuse angles are angles that are greater than 90 degrees, but they are less than what? 180. So when we have angles that goes beyond these are what? These are obtuse angles. So long as they don't pass this what? They don't pass this line, which is what? 180 degrees. So any angles that falls from here to this point is what? Is an obtuse angle. So under this angle we have angle 180, we have angle 120, we have angle 115, we have angle 95 degrees. All these angles are what we call obtuse angles. So these are angles that are greater than 90, but they are less than 180. Now, straight angles, we can also have straight angles from here. Straight angles are angles that are equal to what? 180. angles on the straight line. That is where you have angles on a straight line. So we call them straight line angles. They are angles that are equal to what? 180. So that aside, the next one we want to talk about is the reflex angle. Now, what are the reflex angles? The reflex angles are angles that are greater than 180, but they are less than what? 360. So any angle that is greater than 180 but less than 360 is a reflex angle. So any angle that falls from this part to what? To this part. From this part to this part is what? Is what? Reflex what? They are called reflex angles. So all these angles that falls from here to this part, they are all reflex what? They are all reflex angles. So reflex angles can be angle 185 is a reflex angle, angle 270 is a reflex angle, and so on and so forth. So under angles, we can also have adjacent angles. Adjacent angles, as we discussed in our various previous videos, are angles that are adjacent or next to one another. When angles are adjacent or next to one another, they are called adjacent angles. And adjacent angles can be angles on a straight line too. And when adjacent angles are found on a straight line, they add up to give what? To give 180. The next thing we want to talk about is angles at a point. When lines meet, as we said, they form what? They form angles. Angles at a point sums up to give what? 360. Now, this angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle D, they can sum up A plus B plus C plus D. They can sum up to give what? 360 degrees. That is what we call angles at a point. Now, there is also a special type of angle we call complementary angles. What are complementary angles? Angles that are complementary are angles that can sum up to give what? 90 degrees. When two or more angles can sum up to give you 90 degrees, they are called what? Complementary angles. And when two or more angles can add up to give 180 degrees, they are called supplementary angles. So I want you to take note of that. We have complementary angles. We have complementary angles, and then we have the supplementary angles. So take note of that. When two or more angles A plus B adds up to give 90 degrees, they are supplementary angles. But when we have two or more angles C plus D plus E, they add up to give 180. Those angles are called what? Supplementary angles. So you take note of that. You might see questions related to this in any examinations you are taking. Now let's consider one or two questions that are related to angles, and then you see how we can, remembering some of these hints on angles, can help us solve such questions. We are asked to find the marked angles in the diagram. So the marked angles is angle S and angle Y. Now our duty here is to find this value of angle X and angle Y. Now, as somebody who have known what lines and angles are all about, it is your duty to solve this question. Now, come to analyze this question. If these angles are parallel to each other, then this is a transversing line that cuts these two parallel angles. These are parallel angles, and these are the two transversing lines. So from here we can either get alternate angles, or we get corresponding angles, or we get internally opposite angles, or we get vertically opposite angles. Which of them we can get here will tell what the value of X or Y will be. Now come to think about this. This is line 1 and this is line 2. 70 and Y are two different angles, but they are in the same position, but they are on different lines. What does that tell us? That tells us that they are corresponding lines. They are corresponding angles, and according to geometry, corresponding angles are equal. So what does that tell us? That tells us that angle DCE, which is this angle here, which is equal to Y degree, is equal to what? 70 degree. And what is our reason? They are corresponding angles. Now take note of that. This is how you apply the laws of the properties of lines and angles. Now, an angle DCE is equal to angle BAC. Why? Because they are corresponding angles. They are in the same positions, but they are on different lines. That is how we define corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal. Now let's come to analyze this once more. Having gotten Y, our focus now goes to X. How can we get X? Remember that all these are angles belonging to what? To C. They are the angles of C. And now we can say that angle BCE is equal to X degree plus what? Plus angle Y. That is the value we get for angle BCE. This is one equation we use to solve that value. Now come to think about it, we are going to apply some laws to solve this, because this cannot give us a solution. Now come to think about this. What angles do we have? How do this angle get to do with these two angles? Remember, this angle entirely is exterior to this angle, and we have one line. Since this angle is totally angle C, they are all exterior to these angles. So we can now come to analyze this in such a way that we can say that angle BCE can be equal to angle BAC plus angle ABC. And why do we say that? Now let's come to analyze that. We are going to tell you the reasons why that is said. Now come to think about this. This is what we are going to see. These angles are equal. Why do we say the sum of this angle? We say it will give us BCE. Why? Because there is one rule in lines which we have discussed in one of our videos, that exterior angle is equal to the sum of the opposite interior angles. So according to that rule, we can use that rule in solving this. The exterior angle to these two angles, they are interior angles to this triangle. They are interior angles to this triangle, and this is an exterior angle. And according to the rule, exterior angles are equal to the sum of the opposite interior angles. So if we add up that, we are going to see that angle BCE is equal to angle 70 degree plus angle 60 degree. So angle 70 degree plus angle 60 degree will give us 130 degree. So we've seen now that angle BCE is equal to 130 degree. Now we'll come to see that angle BCE is equal to x degree plus what? Angle y. And then we'll say our 130 is equal to x, angle x plus what? Angle y, which is 70 degree. Remember, we got our angle y at 70 degrees. So our x now will now be equal to 130. While this comes here, this will give us minus 70. 130 minus 70, and then our angle x will be equal to what? 60 what? Degrees. So we see that our angle s is equal to 60 degrees. This is how you analyze questions on geometry, and with such application of such knowledge you've gotten from the properties of lines and angles, you can be able to solve questions like this. Now let's analyze the second and final question and see how we can apply some of these properties of geometries on lines and angles in solving questions similar to this. Let's consider the final example on this video. We're going to look at find the marked angles in the diagram below. So the marked angles are angle S, A, and what? And B. Let's now analyze all the properties of lines and angles we've learned so far. Remember, in the properties of lines and angle, we've learned corresponding angles, adjacent angles. We've also learned interior opposite angles. We've come to know what exterior opposite angles are. Exterior angle equal to the sum of the opposite interior angles. Now, let's consider this. Out of these angles, are there anyone that is alternate angles or vertically opposite angles or corresponding angles? Of course there is. Remember, we say corresponding angles are angles that are in the same position but they are on different lines. So we have line 1 and line 2. This is line 1. On this position we have 62. This is line 2. On this position, which is the same thing with this position, do we have an angle? Yes. So that means A is equal to 62. And what is the reason? They are corresponding angles. They are corresponding angles because they are in the same position but they are on different what? On different lines. That is the term you can use to realize angles that are what? Corresponding angles. Now, having gotten that now, the next thing we want to look at now, we want to consider find angle B and what? And S. Now consider angle B and S. You come to see that they are both on the straight what? Angle S and A. You come to see that they are both on the straight line. So we can simply say that angle S plus angle A is equal to what? 180 degree. What is the reason? That is the sum of what? Sum of angles on the straight what? Line. Angles on a straight line sum up to give 180 degrees. So remember, we've gotten our A to be 62, so we'll have our X plus 62 is equal to 180 degrees. So our X will be equal to 180 minus, this comes over here, minus 62. So our X will be equal to 180 minus 62. If you subtract that, you're going to have this will give you 8, and then this will give you 1, and then 1. That will give you 118 degrees. So we've gotten angle A and angle S. So having gotten angle A and angle X, the next thing we want to look for is angle B. So how do we find angle B? Remember also a principle. We've also learned about vertically opposite angles. These are angles that are formed when two intersecting lines intersect each other. So these angles are vertically opposite. A is vertically opposite to this angle, and B is vertically opposite to this angle. So we can simply say that our S is equal to B, and what is our reason? They are vertically opposite what? Angles. So that means automatically our B is equal to S, which is equal to 118. So you see, very easy. You can simply get solutions to any question as long as you can apply the properties of geometry, line properties and properties of angles. These are perfect ways to solve questions on geometry. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I know you do enjoy watching this video. Do share with your friends and give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can get updated with our latest content once they are uploaded.